Alright guys, we're back with some more Black Myth Wukong, and today we have some exciting stuff to talk about. We have a brand new gameplay trailer from the official Nvidia GeForce channel. Also, the full global launch schedule has been posted, and we even have some fake reviews going out that ever since then have been completely dismissed. So quite a lot to talk about, and of course you still have time to enter the Black Myth Wukong Deluxe Edition giveaways. I'm giving away 2 copies for channel subscribers, but just leave a comment down below if you want to participate. That's going to make it easier for me to eventually select the winners. But in the meantime, we do have the global launch schedule right here, as was posted by the official Black Myth Wukong Twitter channel. So you can see all the hours, and of course the global launch will happen starting at 10 a.m. UTC plus 8 on August 20th or 7 p.m. PDT August 19th. This is of course going to be a global release at the same time, but these are all of the converted hours for each specific region. Like for example, in my case, I believe it launches at about 4 a.m. in the morning, which is not too shabby. It just means we have to wake up a bit earlier. And speaking of release schedules, we've known for pretty much a week at this point, at the very least, that the reviews are going to drop today, August 16, and you should expect the big media outlets to probably drop them later today. In the meantime, we did have a pretty interesting situation a couple of days ago with a fake leaked IGN review that was showing a 5 out of 10 score for Black Myth Wukong, which made absolutely no sense. And the person from IGN who is actually playing and reviewing Black Myth Wukong came in on Twitter and officially announced that it's absolutely fake, it's absolute BS. He's going to be reviewing it, so stay tuned. Also, on a similar note, I would love to know your final score predictions for the game. Are you expecting like a higher than 9 out of 10, higher than 8, lower than 7? Let me know down below in the comments, and then we'll compare it with the final score once the media outlets reveal everything. In the meantime, we do have a brand new 1 minute or so gameplay from the Nvidia GeForce channel. This kind of shows a bit more of the RTX technology in action, and it does show a few fights against some of the familiar bosses that we've seen in some of the gameplay reveals up until now. But I will admit the game looks absolutely gorgeous, even if you don't activate all the RTX options, like especially this section with the water. In both of these instances, I think it looks marvelous. Obviously, it's going to be a lot more realistic with the RTX caustics activated, but I would still enjoy it a lot, even if I turned that off and just looked at this puddle right here. Of course, its biggest difference is probably going to be for the global illumination and indirect lighting. We can see, this wall right here. It's pretty much night and day difference how good it looks with RTX actually activated. So you might want to mix and match. We're going to talk about some of the better settings in the meantime, as a lot of players actually did manage to test all of the settings in the benchmark tool. In the meantime, I will say I really appreciate the much higher quality of this video, showcasing the fights against some of these bosses much better. We've seen most of these in other media previews from before, but never in such high quality. So really appreciating the fight against the black bear, some of these big head enemies, and I believe that these are completely new gameplay shots of the fights against these bosses, even though the bosses themselves were actually featured before. I might be wrong on that one, but let me know down below in the comments. Interesting to note is that during the big head boss enemy fight, we can see, the character performing a perfect dodge, which immediately lights up the staff, possibly implying some kind of buff, maybe a damage buff that, just provides some extra effects when performing attacks against the target. At least that's what I'm expecting from it. It seems that it lingers for quite a bit long, but that whole scene interrupts rather quickly. We've also later on seen that tower stance we talked about before, really interesting against the same fire wolf enemy, but it does appear that the staff once again is either illuminated or maybe again it is buffed by some kind of effect. Again, I'm not sure if it's RTX, which is that good at providing the global illumination from the fire effect on the staff, or if it's the staff itself that has some kind of light effect on it. In any case, with all of these amazing graphical options, you're probably going to fiddle with them quite a bit to get the most out of the performance and keep quality, or vice versa, which is why the amazing Black Myth Wukong community came in with an updated version of all of the optimized settings. You can see all of the highest quality settings right here and how much they affect performance, and of course which one of them are the most demanding. However, there is one disclaimer about DLSS and super resolution, which I got completely wrong when I did my benchmarks, because I did end up with high FPS, but at the cost of seeing very blurry textures. And there is actually a disclaimer just for that over here, as a lot of other knuckleheads like me got it wrong as well. So in this setting, do not use frame scaling lower than 50 or 67% at 1440p, no lower than 67 to 75% at 1080p, and no lower than 50% at 4K. So probably better to stay around 67% for 4K as well. At least that is the recommendation over here, because going too low will make the game extremely blurry and flickery. It's basically going to negate any sort of fancy graphic settings. So even if you go with cinematic on everything, but you put this resolution scaling way too low, you're pretty much not only not seeing any benefit, the game is going to look way worse. And in this case, by default, my resolution scaling was set to 75%, which seems to be better, or at least along the lines of what that disclaimer is saying. But I also fiddled with it and put it at 100% scaling, which just made everything even more crisp at the cost of losing some of the frame rates. But that's pretty much not an issue if you have excess frame rates over 60. Like if you're pushing 100 plus, it's worth it to maybe just sacrifice 10-20 of them, but for much more improved graphical settings. Also, some other miscellaneous settings in there that don't really improve much in terms of visual quality unless you really stand still and look at it. So stuff like hair quality, this might, for example, induce some stuttering, and it might not be worth it if all you're doing is fast-paced action. So these are the types of settings you should look into if you want to improve your performance. Anyway, that's pretty much it with the video. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time.